Have you ever felt like your body just gave up? Like you had nothing left to give? Your legs are heavy, your arms are tired, your mind is foggy, you just want to stop. We all have those moments. But today's story is not about a moment. It is about a man. A man whose legs stopped working a long time ago. A man who cannot walk or run or even stand. But his heart never stopped. And today, I want to tell you about the day he decided to run the race of his life. Not a race for a medal, but a race for his son. A race that will make you question your own excuses. A race that will make you ask yourself, if he can move forward without legs, why am I standing still? Let's begin. His name was Michael. And if you saw him on the street, you might feel sorry for him. You might look away, because Michael was in a wheelchair. Years ago, a terrible accident had taken the feeling from his legs. He couldn't feel his toes. He couldn't feel his feet. He was paralyzed from the waist down. For a long time, Michael was angry. He was angry at the world. He was angry at the driver who hit him. He was angry at the driver who hit him. He was angry at his own body for betraying him. He spent months just sitting by the window, watching the world move on without him. He felt like his life was over. But then, he looked at his son. His son, Leo. Leo was just 7 years old. He had big, curious eyes. And he didn't see a broken man when he looked at his dad. He just saw his dad. One day, Leo came home from school. He was holding a bright orange flyer. "Daddy!" he shouted, running into the room. "Daddy, look! There's a fun run at school!" A 5-kilometer race. And they have medals. Can we do it? Can we run together? Michael's heart sank. He looked at his son's excited face. He looked down at his own lifeless legs. He felt a wave of shame and sadness wash over him. He wanted to say, "Son, I can't run. Look at me." But before he could speak, Leo's face changed. He looked at the wheelchair. He looked at his dad's legs. And then, with the innocent wisdom of a child, he smiled. "Okay, Daddy," he said softly. "If you can't run, then I'll push you. We can still do it together." In that moment, something shifted inside Michael. His son wasn't asking him to walk. He wasn't asking him to be normal. He was just asking him to be there. He was asking for a teammate. Michael looked at Leo's skinny little arms. He looked at the heavy steel wheelchair. He thought about the 5-kilometer road. It seemed impossible. But the look in his son's eyes was stronger than the fear in his heart. He took a deep breath. He wiped a tear from his eye, and he smiled. "Okay, champ," he said, his voice cracking. "Okay, let's do it. We'll do it together." That night, they made a plan. They would train. Leo would push the wheelchair. Michael would steer. The next morning, they went to the park. It was a disaster. The wheelchair was heavy. The ground was bumpy. After just 10 meters, Leo was panting. His face was red. His little hands were slipping on the handles. "I can't, Dad," he cried, stopping. "It's too heavy." Michael felt helpless. He wanted to help his son. He wanted to carry him. But he couldn't even carry himself. He felt like a burden. But then, an idea sparked in his mind. He couldn't use his legs, but he still had his arms. He still had his arms. He still had his hands. "Leo," he said, pointing to the big wheels of the chair. "Look, these wheels have rims. I can push on these. You push from behind. We'll push together." And so, a new kind of training began. Every morning, before the sun was up, you could see them in the park. A little boy pushing from behind, and a man with no feeling in his legs, gripping the wheels with his hands, forcing them to turn. It was painful. Michael's shoulders burned. His hands developed raw, bleeding blisters. He would wake up in the middle of the night with cramps in his arms. Leo struggled too. Some days he was too tired. Some days he wanted to quit and play with his friends. There were tears. There were arguments. One evening, after a particularly hard day, Leo looked at his dad. "Why are we doing this, Dad?" he asked, exhausted. It's too hard. Michael pulled his son onto his lap. He held him close. He remembered the anger he felt after his accident. He remembered giving up. He looked at his son's tired face. He said, "You know, Leo, my legs gave up a long time ago. They can't help me anymore. But my heart never got the message. My heart still wants to run. It wants to run to the finish line with you. Can you feel my heart, Leo?" Leo put his small hand on his father's chest. He felt the strong, steady beat. "It's beating really fast, Dad," Leo whispered. "That's it," Michael said. "That's the engine. As long as you can hear that, we can move. We can do hard things, son, not because we are strong, but because our hearts refuse to stop." The next morning, they were back in the park. Finally, the day of the fun run arrived. The school field was packed with kids and parents. Everyone was wearing bright-colored t-shirts and fancy running shoes. They were stretching, laughing, and bouncing on their toes. And then there was Michael, sitting in his heavy wheelchair, and little Leo, standing behind him, looking nervous. Michael saw people staring. He saw the pity in their eyes. He heard a kid whisper to his friend, "How are they going to race?" For a second, the old shame returned, the shame of being different, the shame of being broken. But then Leo leaned down and whispered in his ear, "Don't worry, Dad. We have the engine, remember?" Michael smiled. The shame vanished. The starting horn blared. The crowd of runners surged forward like a wave. Michael and Leo were left behind in the dust. The first kilometer was a nightmare. The crowd pushed past them. Leo was struggling to keep up. Michael's hands were gripping the rims so tight his knuckles were white. They were dead last. By a long shot, by the second kilometer, most of the runners were far ahead. The street was quiet. The sun was getting hot. Leo was crying. He was just too small. The wheelchair felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Dad, I can't, he sobbed, slowing down. Michael felt his own arms turning to jelly. The blisters on his hands had popped. The pain was searing. He looked at his crying son. He looked at the empty road ahead. His body screamed at him to stop, his legs useless, his arms burning, his heart pounding against his ribs. It would be so easy to stop, to say, "We tried our best," to give up. But then he remembered the promise. He remembered the look in Leo's eyes when he first said, "I'll push you." He remembered his own words, "My heart never got the message." He stopped the wheelchair. "Leo," he said, his voice firm but gentle, "come here." Leo walked around to the front, tears streaming down his face. "Get on my lap," Michael said. Leo was confused, but he climbed onto his father's lap. Michael wrapped his strong, tired arms around his son. "Now," Michael said, taking a deep breath, "hold on tight." And then Michael did something no one expected. He wasn't just pushing the wheels anymore, he was pulling. With every ounce of strength in his upper body, he pulled on the wheels. He grunted, he groaned, sweat poured down his face. He was carrying his son and pushing his chair at the same time. He was a machine. He was a father. The people who had finished the race were standing at the finish line, drinking water. They heard a sound, a rhythmic squeak, squeak, squeak of wheels. They turned, and they saw him, a man with no use of his legs, with his son on his lap, pulling himself and his boy towards the finish line. A hush fell over the crowd. And then someone started clapping, then another, then another. Michael didn't hear the applause. He didn't see the crowd. He only heard his own heartbeat and his son's breath on his neck. He crossed the finish line. He stopped. His arms fell limp at his sides. He had nothing left. Leo jumped off his lap and looked up at his dad, his eyes wide with amazement. A volunteer came over and placed a shiny medal around Michael's neck. But Michael took the medal off. He looked at his son, his partner, his reason for moving. He placed the medal around Leo's neck. "Dad, you won it," Leo said. Michael shook his head. "No, son," he whispered, pulling him into a hug. "We won it. You gave me your legs. And I gave you my heart, That's the only way we move forward. The crowd cheered. But for Michael and Leo, the world was silent. It was just them. So, my friend, let me ask you something. What is holding you back today? Is it your legs? Or is it your mind? You see, we all have a handicap. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's a past failure. Maybe it's self-doubt. We look at it and we say, I can't move forward because of this. But Michael's story teaches us a simple truth. Your legs might give up. Your strength might run out. The world might leave you behind. But your heart has its own fuel. It's fueled by love. It's fueled by purpose. It's fueled by the people who believe in you. When your body says stop, your heart can say go. So find your reason. Find your reason. Find your Leo. Find the one person or one dream that makes your heart beat faster. Because as long as your heart refuses to stop, you are still in the race. And you are still moving forward. Thank you for listening.